typical sermon, if you haven't gathered by now. This morning, um, as we talked about this morning, it's a time where we honor our moms and, the work that they have put forth. And, I got to thinking about motherhood. And there was a time where um, it was more like a full-time job in a sense of where moms stayed home. They made sure that the house was taken care of, that the kids were taken care of. But a great majority of the moms that we see now um, do a lot more than just stay home and take care of the kids. A lot of our moms now have to work, where we live in a society where um, two incomes is more of a necessity now that to help support our homes. And when I got to thinking about motherhood and the hard work that goes into being a mom, among other things, I couldn't personally think of a woman that works harder than my bride Samantha. And so this morning, I just wanted to have an opportunity where, we were going to ask her a few questions that she could give some testimony on how good our God is. And AJ, you want to put this stuff on the screen there, son? I appreciate that. And so we just wanted to give this opportunity to her to where she can share with y'all some of the things when it comes to being a mom. Dropping my mic here this morning. But, well, Sam, thank you for taking this time to sit with us this morning.
I appreciate it. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, never did anything like this before. But I wanted just to share with you, I'll just ask you a few things that we talked about. What can you tell us about the many hats that you once wore and that you're wearing now?
Well, the once wearing and the still wearing are all in the same circle. I think as a mama, you never really take some of them off. And especially as a pastor's wife, you wear quite a few. Let's see. We're going to start with this one, mommy. Because, when they're little, they call you mommy. Mama. Then you go to mom. And then teenage boys in the house, it's bruh. I've gotten bruh quite a few times in the past couple years. Let's see. Other hats. Pastor's wife. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I'm a chef. I'm a laundry doer, a grocery getter. Professionally, I'm a certified surgical tech. I'm in school, so I'm an RN in the making. Ministry-wise, worship leader. I'm on the youth leader. I'm one of the youth leaders. Women's ministry team. I'm a supporter. I can be an encourager, someone's best friend. I'm a good listener. Did you say worst nightmare? Oh. I thought I heard worst nightmares. I was like, man, that's harsh. I can put on just about any hat that I need to in the moment that the Lord puts me in.
Yeah. I can even think of times where when we talk about working outside the home, that you were a bank teller at one point.
I was a bank teller at one point. That was an interesting line to be in.
You worked at the hospital night shift.
I worked night shift. For many years and had the littles at home during the day. What else did I do? I've delivered pizzas for Domino's. Yes, I did that while I was pregnant, mind you, with AJ. I think it was. Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Done quite a few things, yeah.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Can you tell us of a particular time? Because I know oftentimes, we get so overwhelmed with life in general. But can you tell us of a time where you just felt as though you just wanted to throw in the towel? And what kept you from not giving up?
I'm going to preface this by saying I think that during all of our lives, especially when you're in ministry, there is going to be some point where you just feel like you're done. It has been too much. The people have been too much. The situations have been too much. The Lord couldn't possibly be putting me through all of this, and I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. But like Tony has expressed a time or two before, I think one of the roughest seasons in our life that we have been through was our time in Tennessee. It wasn't all bad. It was not. Tennessee is a beautiful state. We met some amazing people while we were there. But to see him go through the things that he went through and to me go through it right along with him, that was a rough season. Because if your husband, who's supposed to be the spiritual leader of your home, has been broken enough to the point where he doesn't want to do it anymore, what would make me think it was okay for me to still want to do that? But what we came to realize through all of that, that wasn't a God move, us being there. That was an us move. That was something that we wanted to do, and we made sure we were going to get there one way or the other. Now, we rationalized it being a God move any way we could while we were there to make ourselves feel better about that move. But when it came down to it, we were outside of God's will, which is exactly a place that you do not want to be in. What we had done was, instead of waiting for the Lord to release us from the current ministry setting that we were in, we decided it was time for us to release us and to move on. And hence we were outside of the will of God. But the one thing that kept us going was just knowing that and hoping that the Lord would still use us once we got to the other side of the place that we had gotten ourselves to. And outside of that, I can even think back to when I first started my walk with the Lord. We were fresh out of the military. We were living in a camper, and he's told that story many times from the pulpit. Living in a camper outside of a church, we didn't have a home ourselves, and it was the night that he's talked about where it was raining and the tarp was flapping and the rain was coming in the camper. And I found myself in a bathroom stall in that church. Hit my knees and I was like, Lord, this is where you want us. This is where we're going to be. I don't know what you have planned for me, but I'll follow you if you want me to. Even that was a rough moment because I'm thinking to myself, okay, if the Lord wants us to do this, but he's making us go through this, why? Why am I going to continue to put myself through situations like this? But that was just the jumping point, the jumping start of my testimony and my walk with the Lord. And since we have stayed faithful to him, we've been through some stuff, but we a little bit, but yeah. we have a great family, a great church family. Our kids, if you ask me, my kids are amazing. You know, the Lord has blessed us immensely throughout every season that we've been through being married.
Yeah, it's been something. So with being a mom, you work full time. Mm-hmm. You're going to school. Mm-hmm. In between all of this, mm-hmm. and you're serving the Lord in different capacities. How do you manage? Like, how do you manage your time, and how do you manage this path the Lord has placed you on as far as being a mom among everything else?
It's not easy. I think any mama in this room can attest to that being a mom and working outside of the home and trying to juggle is the wrong word to use, but that's the only word that comes to mind, is to juggle the balance of everything. It can be a lot, and it can be extremely overwhelming. But if we're talking like physical things, a planner is my absolute best friend. If I don't write things down, it doesn't happen, or it's not gonna happen. But this is where your walk with the Lord is strengthened. That's not just moms, that's anybody and everybody. If you don't keep him first and rely on him to get you through everything that he has put in front of you for you to accomplish, you're not going to make it. But along with that walk, the Lord has always put people in my path that are able to help me. Like, especially on the Sundays that I couldn't be here, Miss Nina is an absolute godsend. The Sundays that she would come up here and lead you guys, she is one of those women that the Lord has put in front of me to love on, and I'm so thankful for her. And everybody here has helped me in some way, shape, or form, and I'm so thankful for everybody that's here.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always said that too. Is that the story to my success is that God always placed the right people
Yes.
around me to for great things to happen. So we have four children, and two of our four children are two daughters that are 22 and 19 now, and soon to be 20. And one day, hopefully a little down the road, but one day they're going to be moms themselves. And so, can you tell us, what you hope that they have learned from watching you all these years go through everything that you've been through on this walk?
I asked my girls this question, and of course, Maddie's the only one that responded. Kenzie, I'm lucky if I can get her to answer a text message, but that's okay. But Maddie, her response was, and I was like, what, really? Her response to this was, never interrupt you when you're in the kitchen. Really? That's what you hope to learn from watching me all these years, was don't interrupt me? But again, that's one of those things that when I would bake cakes a lot and do a lot of baking, the girls knew, all the kids, everybody knew that when the earbuds went in, that was it. It was go time. I was focused. I was in the zone. That's my Zen zone. If you know me, you know I love to bake. I love to be in the kitchen. But that was her answer. Don't interrupt mom in the kitchen. And I was like, really? That's it? That's all you got? And she said something else along the lines of, just be honest. I'm like, okay, who am I being honest with? I'm assuming she meant her and, everybody else, be honest with your kids. But a few things that I hope that they have picked up from watching me over the years is to stay focused on the Lord and to never give up. Because if the Lord has brought you to things, he's going to bring you through things. He's not going to bring you to something if he doesn't think that you are equipped to handle what he has put in front of you. Because through those things, that's where your walk is strengthened. And if we hadn't have gone through everything that we have gone through, we have so many different little testimonies inside of a big testimony. If that makes any sense. We have lots of little stories inside of, the testimony of who we are. And I think that's one thing that they saw was that while our faith was tested, it was never wavered. It never faltered in any way. Do we question why? Absolutely. But we never lost sight of the end result, if you will.
I think oftentimes when you ask somebody if we could go back and do something differently, sometimes we may think about like, okay, maybe I would do this differently or that differently, if we could hit that proverbial reset button. And if there was an opportunity to do that, to say go back and do it all over, or maybe something we can go back and do differently, would there be anything about your motherhood journey that you would do differently?
Absolutely not. And I say that, and I think the only thing that I would have done differently is I wish I had heard the Lord a little bit sooner into my motherhood journey. I didn't fully surrender until we were out of the Navy. And like I said, when I hit my knees in that bathroom stall at that church, we had already had 2 kids and we had 1 on the way. I think that's the only thing that I would have done differently. But anything else, I wouldn't change a thing, because it has all led to where we are. It has led to so many things that has happened in our lives, and so many people that we have met and that we've got to love on and that have loved on us. So no, wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, awesome. What sort of encouragement would you give, like maybe some of the younger moms that are here today, that they still have a road still ahead of them
Mhm.
to walk on when it comes to being a mom to these young kids. So what sort of encouragement would you give them as far as their journey right now?
Take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. At some point, you have to put yourself first because you cannot fill from an empty cup. You are of absolute no use to anybody if you are not taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself, spend time with the Lord. Make sure He fills you. You have to be filled by Him. And that's one of those things I wish I would have known or I would have, you
Yeah.
know, earlier in my motherhood walk. Um, but you have to take care of yourself. Be an example to your daughters and to your sons of the type of mom and wife that they would hope to be and hope to have one day. I know when I was growing up, my mom and my dad both worked full time outside of the home. We didn't have everything we wanted, but we had everything that we needed. Um, my mom is one of the strongest women that I have ever met in my life. She didn't begin her spiritual, like her walk with the Lord until much later in life, but you know, the Lord finally got a hold of her. She found him, and that's amazing. I'm so happy about that. But my mom worked so much when we were kids. But like I said, we always had everything that we needed. We never went without. Um, And even when my dad got sick and he was not able to work anymore, my mom was still working full time outside of the house. She was still taking care of my dad. She set the example of the type of mom and wife that I wanted to be: strong, independent, and dependent at the same time. Um, Loved her kids, loved her family endlessly. She loved my friends like they were her own. She was everything that I wanted to be. Uh, Motherhood is hard, and it can be very lonely. It can be unintentionally lonely. But this is where you need to find a tribe of women to surround you and to love on you. When they say it takes a village, sometimes it takes a village. You need to have those people around you to love on you. Let them love on you. That's a big thing. Let people in. Talk to people. Let somebody love on you. Give them a chance to get to know you. Lean into the Lord with everything that you have. Every fiber of your being belongs to the Lord. You have to let Him in. And I'm going to stop with that one.
All right. Well, before we wrap this up, would like to give anybody, if y'all had anything y'all wanted to ask Sam before we wrap up, if anybody wanted to ask her anything. Well, anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up this time?
Thank y'all for letting me ramble up here this morning. I know it's not your typical Sunday morning, but, you know, thank y'all, and I love y'all.
You know, Sam and I talked about doing something like this, and of course I came back. Well, how about this Sunday for Mother's Day? And she's like, "Well, I didn't mean that soon," but over the years, I'll preach Mother's Day messages and things of that nature. But truly, just to hear from her perspective uh, of what it's been like for her to be a mom, and I know every lady in this room has their story as well, their true story. When I say story, that they can tell of their journey, of what they had to go through, and what you may be going through right now. And truly, from my perspective, I'm just thankful to God that He gives y'all everything y'all need. Even in moments when you feel like you have nothing to give, oh, how God is so amazing, right? That He always supplies every need that needs to happen. I wanted to close with this verse before we have a special time of prayer. And it's one of my favorite verses of Scripture that I like to read every so often. It may even sound like I'm a broken record, but truly there's such power in this verse in Proverbs chapter 3, beginning in verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't rely on your own understanding. Think about Him in all your ways, and He will guide you on the right path. And the beauty about this verse, this action and reaction, is that as we trust in the Lord, um, He's going to honor that. And oftentimes when we try to rationalize things, it may not be a moment to try to rationalize things. It's just our responsibility to trust Him and to know that as we depend upon Him, He will never, ever, ever let us down. And that's the beauty about the God that we serve, that He will never fail us. And I'm thankful that He has given me such a wonderful helpmate, and I couldn't have asked for a better mom for my children than Samantha. And I'm thankful that He's always given us everything we needed, and especially given her everything she needs to be a good mom and to deal with somebody like me for the past 23 years. So I'm thankful to God for that. So, but there is something I would like to do before we dismiss here today, and I'm gonna ask y'all to just stand right now. And as we stand, and I'm gonna ask the moms to do this, if you can. If you're physically not able to do so, by all means, please just stay seated where you may be right now. But I would like our moms to come forward right now, if you would. And as these moms come forward, and again, if you're not able to come, that's fine. You can stay exactly where you're at. And as the moms come forward, and if you're able to kneel at the altar, I'm going to ask y'all to just kneel at the altar. And if you're not able to, you can just stand and bow your heads right now. I've done this over the years for dads. And this morning, I'd like for us to pray for these ladies right now. And I'm going to ask that right now, we're just going to have our invitation right now.